we can no longer allow blood being spilled to be the catalyst for us to decide to live our values. Not that
Yeah.
we ever could allow it, not that it was ever something that was, good for us or that we should have been doing, but truly now is the time for us to change that dynamic. I used to get so disheartened watching, okay, George Floyd gets suffocated. All of a sudden, I gain a bunch of followers to the racism discussion group. Okay, now this kid got shot in the head, looking for his brother and knock on the door and opens up and boom, he's now got a gunshot wound to the head. And then several people signed up for the discussion group, and it's just, we can't keep being reactionary when it comes to something uh, about validating humanity and standing up for humanity.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm trying to find a way to change that, and to stop allowing tragedy to be the thing that fuels us, and to start a new kind of fire, with a new kind of kindling in people's hearts and souls, which is why I'm creating these spaces for the community conversations, and hopefully in the future, big live events.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, oh man, I have a few thoughts on what you said, and I wanna address that too. So first off, I think the way is what you're doing, right? You're having these conversations. You no matter you're not being reactionary, right? The contraband wagon is here, right? And um what's interesting to me, when I saw the news coming out of Israel that the younger kid that there were at least there are some younger Israelis who are refusing to serve in the army because they don't want to participate in the genocide. That was really uh, I don't just want to say heartwarming, but it was encouraging because here's what I took from that: young people, young people, right, see the world for what it is, and it unfortunately happens the way you said it, where there's death, there's violence, and then many of us react, and now we want to look into anti-racism work, or now we want to talk about the genocide that is happening. And I think that we have to just capitalize on people's attention because human beings forget. Human beings don't, they actually, some of us don't even want to see. We want to turn a blind eye because for whatever reason, it could be that it's too painful. It could be because there's so much of that happening in the world, and we are inundated with news of people of dying and death and violence all across the world, and it can be really hard. It can be hard to keep up with all that. It can be emotionally and physically and mentally draining and taxing. I myself went through a period after October 7 where I had to put down my phone and I couldn't watch it. It was so hard. It was so hard. And I think I think a couple of things that came up for me, in this kind of conversation about like how do we not be reactionary. And you mentioned how like in 2025, right? This is 2025 with all of our technological advancements and our interconnectivity throughout the world, we're still having people who hey, I had to have an experience to see that person as a human being. And I think there's something important to mention, and that is that my belief doesn't matter what kind of technological advancements we have. It doesn't matter how much we're interconnected. We're still human beings, and we have a human nature that hasn't changed. We are human beings. Now, I don't say that as kind of like a Debbie Downer to not even try. I think it's about, and we've been talking about this a lot, but framing, right? If we understand that interconnectivity might not even matter for a person's perspective because we are still human beings with I mean, we're all having human experiences here. And these human experiences, they're not different from one another. They're unique to us as individuals, right? But human experiences across the board are very much the same. We experience emotions, we have thoughts, we have beliefs. So then what do we do? And I think what is key in the story that you told is really important because it isn't just about propaganda. It is also about isolating communities and otherizing people not within your community. So when those other people are out of sight, out of mind, and the propaganda, let's call it what it is, the propaganda that the Zionist movement has put out within the Jewish community has been one of fear mongering, right? And that's what it is, right? It's not unique to Jewish communities. It happens throughout the world, right? Those people over there want us dead. Remember what happened to our ancestors who were killed. It doesn't matter that the ones who killed our ancestors aren't the ones who look like them, but we need to be afraid and protect ourselves to make sure we are never harmed again. And if that means we have to believe that the people we're killing in order to protect ourselves or to be safe is to teach ourselves that they're not human beings, that is exactly what they did. And one of the things that we have and one of these ideas we have in our society in America here, right? We talk about what do you do with hate speech? You combat it with more speech, right? You combat it with other ideas. And it can be taxing. A person who doesn't see a Palestinian as a human being, there's a part of me that says, I shouldn't have to be the one to teach you. That's your work to do individually. And yet, right, we're having this conversation because you and I are not those kind of people to just say, it's your work, go away from me. I don't want to have anything to do with that. If someone is willing to be educated, to open their mind, I'll sit down and have that conversation. I have in the past, right? Whether that person is a white supremacist or a Zionist who believes in Jewish supremacy, right? It is about and sometimes those individuals have never had a conversation with somebody who doesn't share their worldview that came about from propaganda, right? And fear mongering within their own community. And so I think what you're doing here, Will, is just amazing and it's wonderful. And and there's a part of me that says it shouldn't be that it takes a person seeing you on this screen or hearing me to be like, oh, hey, there's a Palestinian who is a human being. Hey, there's a person who doesn't look like me who is a human being. And yeah, I wish it wasn't that way, and yet that is how our world is. It is how we as humans, right, is what we do to ourselves. So fighting hate speech and those ideas with more speech, this is how it's done and what we have to do. And I'm a firm believer in dialogue, and of interacting. For a very long time, um, a lot of the international community to support Palestinians and to combat the occupation really went and got behind a boycott, divestment, and sanction movement, which I believe in, and from an economic standpoint adhere to, um, and yet there were folks who would not engage with Zionists in conversation, and I believe in conversation, right? Even now, even believing that a conversation might not have an immediate or likely will not have any immediate effect on the occupation or genocide, right? And we share this world with one another, though, right? And so I think we owe it to ourselves and to the world to have these conversations. Um, I don't see any other way of combating, right, the otherizing that we do to each other as humans.
Yeah. Well said. Nothing to add to that. And yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. And we'll just have to see how things materialize as things move forward and people continue making choices and taking actions and speaking out. Thanks for watching. For access to the full-length conversation and all of the 2-hour-long unedited conversations that I've had on race, click the support link in the description below. Thanks for your support and see you next time.